The story of Mia and the turning point. It was a cool spring day when Mia, a 12-year-old girl with a shy smile and curious eyes, was walking home after school. The street she was walking along was lined with colorful flowers swaying in the wind, and birds were chirping cheerfully in the trees. Spring had transformed the valley around the small town into a sea of colors and fresh scents, and Mia felt happy just being outside. She loved nature and the small moments in life that many people often overlooked. Mia was a girl like any other. She had her friends, her school, and her hobbies. But there was something that set her apart from many of her classmates: a rare genetic mutation. This mutation affected her immune system and health, making her sick from time to time. But it wasn't just her physical health that made her special, it was also her perception of the world. Mia often felt that she saw things faster and more intensely than others. She could recognize patterns and connections before they were even spoken. Her perception was like an open window through which she saw the world more clearly and in greater detail. That afternoon, as she walked her usual route, Mia suddenly felt that something was in the air, something unusual. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but it was as if the world around her had shifted. Her steps slowed, and she glanced over at the windows of the bank across the street. It was a building she passed every day, but today it looked somehow different. The windows sparkled in the sunlight, and through them she could see a group of people talking excitedly, gesturing with urgency. Mia stopped. She could hear a fragment of a man's voice murmuring something about now or never, but she couldn't quite understand what he meant. A strange feeling rose within her. She was about to keep walking when suddenly loud voices echoed, followed by a strange sound, the clicking of something hitting the ground. Her eyes widened. It was a bank robbery. The two men she now saw through the bank's windows were wearing masks, dark jackets, and carrying large bags. They were shouting excitedly and gesturing wildly, their movements frantic and uncoordinated. The scene felt frozen in time, and Mia knew immediately that she had to do something. But what? In that moment, she was flooded with a strange sense of clarity. It was as if her inner voice told her that she needed to act quickly, but also remain calm. Don't act until it's absolutely necessary. Her heart was racing, but she felt strangely composed. Mia turned and dashed behind a nearby bush. She didn't want to put herself in danger, but she knew she was a witness to a crime that needed to be reported. Her hand fumbled for her phone, which was in her pocket. With trembling fingers, she dialed the emergency number and tried to collect her thoughts. 911, how can I help you? A calm but firm voice answered. I saw a bank robbery, Mia said, doing her best to stay calm. Her voice was steady, though she was nervous inside. There are two men, they're wearing masks, and they have big bags. I'm near the bank. They have a weapon. Please get to a safe place and stay on the line, the dispatcher said. We've already notified the police. Can you tell us more about what's going on? Mia started to describe the situation as clearly as she could. The men inside the bank, the height of the windows, the direction they were moving. Every detail was important, and Mia knew she couldn't afford to make any mistakes. As she spoke, she kept herself hidden behind the bush, head lowered so she wouldn't be seen. Her eyes, however, remained fixed on the bank door. She knew she couldn't afford to make a wrong move. The police are on their way, the dispatcher said as Mia gave her last piece of information. Stay calm and wait for us to arrive. Mia heard the distant wail of sirens, growing louder with each passing second. Help was on the way. But as she waited, Her attention wasn't just on the police, it was also on the robbers. She watched them from a distance, trying to interpret their movements and figure out what they would do next. In the time that passed, Mia felt something change within her. The rush of adrenaline began to fade, and a sense of inner calm settled in. In that moment, she had more control over herself than she ever thought possible. Her gift, her ability to perceive situations faster and more clearly than others, wasn't just part of her illness. It was an advantage, a tool that helped her stay calm in a stressful and dangerous situation. "I'm sorry, but she said, finally hanging up just as the police arrived on the scene. She knew the officers had everything under control now. The men who had committed the robbery would be apprehended quickly. The minutes passed like hours. It felt as if the world had paused for a moment while the police searched the bank. Then came the news Mia had been hoping for. The suspects had been caught, and no one had been hurt. The next day at school, nothing felt quite the same. Mia was called to the principal's office by her teacher, which made her feel a little nervous. But what she experienced there surprised her. A police officer was also present and spoke with her. "Mia," the officer said with a friendly smile, "we want to thank you. Without your quick reaction, we might not have been able to catch the suspects so quickly. Your call and detailed observations were a huge help." Mia suddenly felt embarrassed. She had just done the right thing, what was necessary in that moment, but the recognition made her feel uncomfortable. She didn't like being the center of attention, but the officer insisted that she also receive a small gift from the town to honor her courage and assistance. The days after the incident felt like a dream. Mia could hardly believe she was the one who had reported the bank robbery and helped solve it. But what lingered on her mind the most was a simple question. Why had she acted the way she did? She had no experience with anything like this. She had never witnessed a bank robbery or been in such a dangerous situation. And yet, she had done the right thing. And that made her think. Maybe it was her ability to recognize patterns faster than others that had helped her. Maybe it was also her trust in herself, which made her act without hesitation when it was needed. But one thing she knew for sure. She was no longer just the girl with the rare genetic mutation who constantly struggled with her health. She had a strength she hadn't known before, and she had learned how to use it. In the weeks that followed, Mia began to get more involved. She helped her friends with school projects, explained things she understood more quickly than others, and participated more in conversations. She felt more connected to her environment and the people around her than ever before. And perhaps that was what made her courage and determination even stronger. One evening, as Mia sat on her balcony, gazing at the clear night sky, she thought back to the day of the bank robbery. In that moment, she knew that not only had her life changed, but so had the way she saw the world. She had become stronger, braver, and more self-confident. She had learned that it wasn't always the big acts that define a person, but the small decisions made in crucial moments. And, as the stars sparkled above her, Mia knew she would continue to walk her path, with the certainty that she always had the power to choose how to influence the world around her.